Esmond Gold's take on ZZZ after finishing chapter 1. Okay, let's see then. What is the take of the pro gamer himself? Let me mute this. So I'm curious what criticism he has about the story or stuff.
I feel like...
Okay, wait, what is this? The chapter 1, is it? I don't think you can gauge the game after chapter 1. Another drama? Let's see then.
I feel like this machine, it feels like I have a chastity belt on. And I have to wait for this machine to fully complete its entire rotation in order for me to take the chastity belt off for 1 minute. And then I have to put it back on again and then put the machine on, and I have to watch the entire machine go to have it off for another minute.
Wait, is he talking about the story or what? I'm super confused. You can skip the story, right? You can skip the story. Not enough combat? Yeah, but when he said that he has to like wait for a bit, I think he's talking about the story. The TV.
Because that's how long the combat is. It's an edging simulator. It is. And I think that the combat is also... It's not as good as Wuthering Waves.
Yeah, the combat in Zenless Zero is not as good as Wuthering Wave early on. I think later on it eventually gets better. You can feel it. But early on, it seems like... Because there's not that many mechanics. But then to be fair, I don't know. Like, if you really want combat, this shouldn't be the thing that you want to look at. Don't think he skipped, so it does feel like there's a lot of dialogue. With 20% combat.
It's not as good as Tower of Fantasy. It's better than Honkai Impact 3rd. And it's...
Wait. What is the combat, is it?
As Wuthering Waves. It's not as good as Wuthering Waves. It is also...
Did you say the combat?
It's not as good as Wuthering Waves. And I think that the combat is also...
Not as good as Wuthering Wave?
It's not as good as Wuthering Waves.
Worse than Tower of Fantasy?
It's not as good as Tower of Fantasy.
So the combat is not as good as Tower of Fantasy. Tower of Fantasy. I'm trying to think. Tower of Fantasy. Tower of Fantasy. Can you use like a gadget in Tower? You can use gadget in Tower of Fantasy, right? TV is much essay. It's hard to say, right? Because like when you compare Wuthering Wave, when you compare ZZZ with Wuthering Wave and Tower of Fantasy, there's more. I think there's more. How to say? You can like move around more in those two other games. Tower of Fantasy devs are smiling.
It's better than Honkai Impact 3rd.
So at least he's saying that ZZZ combat is better than Honkai Impact 3rd. Zenless Zero combat is better than Honkai Impact 3rd. I'm not sure if it is though. It's about the same for me, right? But it's hard to say for sure. Tower of Fantasy has better combat, and that alone shows how his take is irrelevant. Tower of Fantasy has... that's the thing though. Tower of Fantasy has been so long since I've played it. I'm trying to remember the combat of it, right? Who is this guy again? This guy is... Esmond Gold is a World of Warcraft streamer. Or he used to play World of Warcraft.
And it certainly looks a lot worse than Genshin. I didn't play Genshin, so I don't know.
ZZZ is worse than Genshin. I mean... Okay. Okay, there's a part 2, right? Okay, part 2.
But it's just like there's so much unnecessary filler and stuff. Like I just
Okay. Oh, he picked the dude MC. Ah. Wuthering Wave to PGL Honkai Impactor is more hardcore. Who is the audience for ZZZ? I assume channels like Ajax or other Go channels that are mild at games but love story like Reverse 1999. I think whoever the audience for ZZZ is going to be the casual players. You're not supposed to look at ZZZ. I think people are looking at ZZZ for like if you're looking at Zenless Zone Zero for combat, you're looking at the wrong thing. You still need to know this is still, whether you like it or not, it's still a mobile game first. It's still designed for Android and iOS first. It happens to have a PC client, but it's still it's dominated by the Android market, right? The phone, like you shouldn't compare it to other PC games. Even though mobile games have come a long way, you still shouldn't compare it with a PC game. Because like Wuthering Wave is different, right? Wuthering Wave is a PC game first, I feel like, and mobile game second. But ZZZ is still a mobile game first and PC game second. It's not bullcrap. It's not bullcrap. It's not bullcrap. The way they design it is like it's fast dailies. You take everything. Why is ZZZ on PlayStation 5? To give players an option to play the game.
And I think also, like, if you want to say that, yeah, you can skip the story,
yeah,
I don't think that sounds good. Like, that shouldn't be the solution to skip the story. The solution should be to make a story that you don't want to skip.
So he's saying that he doesn't want to skip the story because that should be the solution. So is he saying that the story is bad? I'm a bit confused, right? Because yeah, I'm not too sure. At the end of the day, the story is fine for me, but the skip option is there for players who want to use it, right? Wuthering Wave story wasn't skip worthy. This game is not intended to be for mobile. It is. I absolutely think it is. The combat is extremely fluid and simple enough. The reason why do you think the combat is so simple then, right? Why do you think people are saying that the combat in Wuthering Wave is simple? Because I think it's intended for mobile. Absolutely it is. They could definitely make the combat more complicated if they want to. You think Hoyoverse couldn't make the combat more complicated? But they don't want to. Hoyoverse is not about... They never want to make hardcore games. They are not here to make an Elden Ring killer. They are not here to make a... It was never meant to be... It's meant to be for casual players. If you play all the Hoyoverse games, you know. And I think they are smart in that sense, right? You might not be target audience and that's fine. You might think that they are stupid and whatever, but hey, they are earning millions, right? So you can judge them how you want. He said no sense for them to... It makes no sense for them to sit on with Street Fighter 6 makers then. No, they can still learn a lot of things from them, right? The game demand too much for phones. Too much. Wuwa is not Elden Ring. Wuwa is probably... Wuthering Wave is probably closer to Elden Ring than ZZZ will ever be. Right, in terms of like everything. Okay, what's the third one?
As I said, my first impressions yesterday were a 6.
6.
I feel like it's kind of gone down a little bit.
5.
I'm gonna play through the rest of the story off stream, but I do want to use this as a reference point. Halfway through doing this story, I felt the urge to go buy a new mattress.
I don't get it.
I don't know what that says.
Halfway,
but it's something.
Want to buy a new mattress.
So guys, as I said,
You haven't played Elden Ring to say that even closely look like Elden Ring. You basically, you just put words in my mouth. You need to reverse back and listen to what I say carefully. I don't want to repeat myself, but that's not what I said. Like, try and understand what I'm trying to say. Don't get angry. Again, you are a very emotional person. I don't know why. Try and listen to carefully what I'm saying. Maybe you're lagging or something. But that's not what I said. Rewind back and listen carefully to what I said. You're misinterpreting everything I'm saying. I never said that Wuthering Wave is similar to Elden Ring. I never said that. He needed a new mattress. Basically, the game was so boring that he started thinking of his real life. Real life, damn. But yeah, it's going to be a rough one, right? But if he's going to give it a 5 out of 10, so it is what it is, right? 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. I can see if you only play chapter 1, I think it's fair. If you only play chapter 1, it's fair for you to have that perspective. I do think it's fair. Worse than Tower of Fantasy. Worse than, very valid for chapter 1. Just finished chapter 2 and it was so much better. Yeah, I feel like you gotta play until chapter 2. At least 2 chapters, right? At least 2 chapters to be able to tell accurately. That's just what I think, right? 1 chapter is a little bit too short. Chapter 1 is like what? 3-4 hours? 3-4 hours, about there. That's the closest it gets.